viewers, you're welcome to my channel once again. I want to say a big thank you to all my subscribers, both the new and old ones, especially those who have liked, shared and commented on any of my videos. I really do appreciate and do not take that for granted. So today we are going to learn how to cut our basic sleeve. And talking about your basic sleeve, you have your short sleeve, you have your long sleeve. So right away we are going to begin with our short sleeve. That is your shirt sleeve. That's the basic sleeve. All right, let's begin right away. So I am going to use a pattern paper for it, and the measurements you need for it are just your bicep height and length, which is meant to serve as your cap sleeve height, the circumference around your biceps, your sleeve length, and then your round sleeve. So your bicep is just the measurement from your shoulder down to the uppermost part of your upper arm. That is that largest part. That's where your bicep is. So let's begin right away. So first of all, I'll have to draw. Like I said, I'm making use of a pattern paper, and it's usually good to draft it out and keep, so that each time you are sewing and you want to draft your basic sleeve, that's if you are making use of a basic sleeve, all you just need is to draft it out on your fabric. You don't need to measure again. So first of all, I'm going to draw a straight line across. This is going to serve as my reference point or my starting point. You can make use of 0.5 inches and make use of 0.5 inches, nothing much, just a straight line across. So that's it. So these are first horizontal line, our reference point. The next horizontal line you are going to mark, remember it's folded. Sorry, I didn't tell you. The pattern paper is folded into two, just into two. And yours mustn't be as large as this. Remember, it's a short sleeve we are starting with. I just made use of it just for the sake of convenience. But once you get your bicep circumference, depending on how large it is, you will now know how long the width of your pepper would be. Like mine is just 14 inches. That is my bicep circumference. The one I'm making use of is 14 inches. So it's made me, this is a pattern paper that is 17 inches wide. So like I said, yours mustn't be as large. What we are going to do is to mark our bicep length, which is meant to serve as your cap sleeve height, and it's standard, usually between 4.5 inches to 5 inches. So but I'm making use of 4.5 inches, so I'm going to measure 4.5 inches from this reference point. So these are 4.5 inches, and I'm going to draw a straight line across. This is our biceps line. So the last horizontal line for our short sleeve is your sleeve length. That is, it depends on you. It depends where you want the length to stop, the length of your sleeve to stop. So the one I'm making use of is 10 inches, just above the elbow. So I'm going to measure 10 inches from our reference point. So this is 10 inches. So these are just the horizontal lines we need for our basic short sleeve. The next thing we are going to do now is begin to impute our measurements. So on this reference point, I'm going to come in by 4 inches. Guys, I'm going to go in by 4 inches. This 4 inches is important because it will determine the depth of your biceps. So it doesn't need to be that deep. That depth is actually meant to be for your armpit depth. So it doesn't need to be that deep, but it just has to be deep. So I'm going to measure 4 inches inside. So these are 4 inches. The next thing I'm going to measure now is our bicep circumference. That is the circumference round your biceps. And the one I'm making use of is 14 inches. I'm going to divide by 2, not by 4. For your sleeve measurement, you divide by 2. Unlike for your basic bodice, where you divide everything by 4. Here, you divide by 2. Your shoulders and your sleeves measurements are only divided by 2 when drafting out. So my bicep circumference is 14 inches. Divided by 2 is 7 inches. But then I'm going to add 1.5 inches sewing allowance. So that will give me 8.5. So I'm going to measure 8.5 here. So the last one I'm going to impute on the sleeve length line. Remember, this is your sleeve length line. This is your bicep line. And this is your reference line, your starting point. So on this sleeve length line, I'm going to impute the round sleeve. That is the circumference round the sleeve. Remember, your sleeve, when you look at your hand is not regular. From your upper arm down to your wrist, it gets narrower. So you are going to take the measurement round where you want your sleeve to stop. So the round circumference at 10 inches, which is this sleeve length I'm making use of, is 12 inches. So 12 inches divided by 2 is 6. And then 1.5 inch sewing allowance. That will give me 7.5. So I'm going to impute 7.5 here. So that's been done. The next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to measure the distance between here to here, which is 4.5. And then when I get the distance, I'm going to divide the distance by 2. There are many ways you can divide. You can divide 4.5 with your calculator. It will give you 2.25. You can also just decide to do it with your tape. This is how you do it. You can divide it here right away by just folding halfway. Or you get 4.5, you divide it into 2 using your meter, your tape. So this folded part, I've divided it. So with this now, I'm just going to impute it. I'm just going to find the middle. So this is 4.5 and this is the middle. So after you must have found the middle, remember this is the middle of our 4.5, which is here. The next thing to do now is to connect this line to this point, this middle. You can draw a straight line if it's confusing you, but it doesn't need to be. Just connect this straight line to this middle using a curve. You can make use of your French curve, but in case you don't have, you can do your freehand sketching. It's not hard. Just watch. This is a curve. So all I did was just to connect this point to this line to the middle. This middle is 2.25. Can as well draw a straight line so it doesn't confuse you. So once you get to this point, the next thing now to do is to connect this place again to your biceps circumference marked on your biceps line using a curve. We are just trying to create our armhole curve. So just with a curve. So the next thing to do is just to straighten out this curve. This point, just straighten it out. So at the end of the day, you have something that looks like an S that is facing downwards. Now, all right, so once you've done that, the next thing to do is to connect your bicep circumference to your sleeve, your round sleeve circumference on the sleeve length line, this place. So with that, you are done drafting out your basic short sleeve. Now, we need to measure something. We need to measure this place because this place is serving as your arm depth. That is the place where the depth of your armpits will be. So you need to measure to ensure that this curve is the same thing with that. So let's measure. Mine is actually 7. So let's measure and see. Remember, you start from here. Please, if you've not subscribed to my channel, please do so. And if you have any question, please leave it on the comment section and I will attend to it ASAP. So this is 7.5. This is 7.5. The arm depth, armhole depth of the person I'm making use of her measurement. Then this is 9. This remaining 1.5 is that extra 1.5 inch. It's usually not necessary, but then once you get the measurement around your circumference, your bicep circumference, is usually not a problem. But just in case you are in doubt, so I'm going to cut it out now, and with that we are done with our short sleeve. If you have any question, comments. So this is our short sleeve. If you have any question, like I said, leave it in the comment section. This is the biceps line B. All right, the next one we are moving over to is our long sleeve. And the truth is, your long sleeve and your short sleeve, the measurements for everything is the same, except that you would add a few things. So in your long sleeve, you are going to include your elbow length, your elbow circumference, and of course your new sleeve length. Remember, your sleeve length varies depending on where you want the sleeve to reach. That is depending on how long you want your sleeve to be. So just like I said, the measurement is exactly the same. The only thing is that I'm making use of a different bicep circumference. Assuming you are trying to draft out your bicep circumference, everything is the same. The only new thing is your elbow length. So right away we are going to begin. We draw our first line, which is our reference point. These are our horizontal lines. First line should be your reference point. second line should be your biceps line. That is 4.5 inches or 5, depending on how large your bicep is. The next one this time around will be your elbow length. Once it crosses the elbow, it becomes long sleeve. For me, I would like to make a 3/4 sleeve. That is some inches after your elbow. If you want yours to be longer than that, it's the same thing. Just continue with the length of that you want. So my elbow length is 12 inches. That is from the shoulder. You measure from the shoulder. So I'm going to measure 12 inches now from the reference point. That reference point is actually your shoulder. $12, and then I want the length of my sleeve. I want it to be just 3 inches after the elbow. That is 3 inches below the elbow. So I'm meant to mark 15 inches, but then I'm going to mark 16. In fact, down to the length of this pattern paper, because I will fold and all that. So let me just leave it here. Let me just assume this is 16.5 actually. So let me assume that is the length I'm making use of, 16.5 inches. So the next thing I'm going to do now, is to draw my line. Remember, this is my elbow line. You're only talking about your elbow if it is a long sleeve or a 3/4. Yours can be as long as 17, 18, 19, down to your wrist here. And if it is down to your wrist, it means you need to get the circumference round your wrist, because the measurement down the hand is not the same. The hand does not have a regular shape. So the next thing we are going to do is to impute our measurements. So the biceps circumference I'm making use of for this one is 11 inches. Okay, first of all, I'm going to come in by 4 inches on this shoulder line. It's actually shoulder line because that's where you start measuring from when you are measuring yourself, or when you are measuring a customer. So on this shoulder line, I go in by 4 inches as usual, exactly the same way we did the other one. Now for my bicep circumference, I'm making use of 11 inches. So 11 inches divided by 2 is 5.5. 5.5 plus 1.5 inches sewing allowance will give me 7 inches. So I decide to make yours 2 inches sewing allowance. It's usually, in fact, it's even advisable, especially if you're a beginner, to ensure that at your biceps you add 2 inches, and then your elbow you add 1 inch. You add 3 inches at your biceps. Your elbow you add 2 inches because of that depth. However, what really determines how the depth of your sleeve is actually your biceps circumference. So make sure it's deep enough to accommodate the depth of your armpits. So the next thing is now my elbow. The circumference around my elbow is 12 inches. Sorry, it's 9 inches. Sorry, elbow length is 12 inches, which is this. Circumference of elbow is 9 inches. 9 inches divided by 2 is 4.5. 4.5 plus my 1.5 inches sewing allowance will give me 6 inches. Okay, then the next thing is my sleeve circumference. which is this last line, and my sleeve circumference is 8.5. 8.5 divided by 2 is 4.25. Then 4.25 plus 1.5 inches sewing allowance will give me 5.75. So on your tape, your 5 inches, 5.5, 5.75 is around here. So the next thing we are going to do is now to connect. But remember, from your shoulder line or your reference point line to your bicep line is 4.5 inches. So you are going to find the midpoint as usual, which is 2.25. That is 4.5. You can do that with your calculator. You can as well just fold. So this is where I'm going to mark. You can draw a straight line if it's confusing you. The main thing is just note that this is the middle. Let me draw a straight line. Just note that that is the middle, the midpoint you are looking for. That's what really matters. All right. The next thing now is to begin to connect, and as usual, you connect this line to this line using a curve first. You can do that with your French curve, it's easier, but then you can do your freehand sketching. You will still get a perfect result. Once you've gotten the first curve, you connect to the second point on the biceps line. Using a curve. So once you are done forming this, you are just done with, that's the main thing about the basic sleeve, this curve. The next thing is just to join this line to this line, this line to this line, this point to this point rather. And once you are done doing that, we are done with our basic sleeve. If you have any question, leave it in the comment section. So I'm going to cut it out now. Remember, this is your elbow line. Please, if you are here to subscribe to my channel. This midpoint. And then this is your shoulder line or your reference line. To be on the safe side, always remember to measure this to ensure it's the same with the armhole depth of the person or your own in case it's yours. So we are going to cut it out right away. So we are going to cut it out right away. Remember, it's folded into two. Please do leave a comment after watching this video. I usually appreciate that. Share the video with your friends and others. Like, and most importantly, subscribe if you are yet to. Thanks for watching. Short sleeve, a long sleeve. This is where it will look like. Your calf sleeve height. Your calf sleeve height. In case you're yet to watch my video on drafting out basic borders, I will leave a link in the description section. So with the link, try and watch. You better understand why you need to know your basic sleeve. Thank you.